Hi, I'm Graham Fuchs, Senior Executive Producer at Activision. I'm going to walk you through a couple of minutes of Spider-Man Web of Shadows here. So the very first thing that Shaba wanted to do when they got the project was to totally revamp the combat system. They wanted to make it so that you could fight more like Spider-Man fights in the films and in the comics, which meant adding combat on the walls and combat in the air. This level is actually a really good example of that. You can see these the tech gang that you're actually fighting has enemies that can run up the walls, and they also have enemies with gliders. And you'll notice you can actually go seamlessly from wall to air to ground, which was always the goal with the combat system. If you'll notice, you're actually gaining experience every time you defeat an enemy, and every hit you get is counted in your combo counter. And we actually bonus you for going from wall to air to ground. The experience that you're earning, you actually get to use to upgrade your suits and your abilities. You'll notice that you could change at any time between the red suit and the black suit, and each suit has totally different moves. The red suit's more web-based and acrobatic. Black suit is more strength and power. The goal is really to allow the player then to customize each suit and their abilities so they can play the way they want to play, kind of design the Spider-Man that suits their play style. Do they use more webs, more of the distance attacks? Do they use more of the fists and fighting up close? Throughout the game, you're going to come into contact with lots of other heroes and villains from the Marvel Universe in New York City. You're fighting Black Cat. The city in this game has also been completely rebuilt from the ground up. We've added a whole new level of destructibility. So as you're playing the game, if you're playing the black suit, using more of the destructive moves, you're going to be causing a lot more collateral damage.
Are you okay? I told you to lay off. This place has all the telltale signs of a secret base. Is this your new line of work? Goblins are us?
Leave now while you still can.
I'm glad you found work within the...
So throughout the game, you're going to encounter a lot of heroes and villains in New York from the Marvel Universe. We've got some well-known villains and heroes, some fan favorites as well. But what was great is we were actually able to take some of the classic villains and reinterpret them. This here obviously is Vulture, but he's been redesigned by the artist at Shaba. He's a little more threatening from the comics. He's got these big feathered wings, but we've kind of changed those into magnetic blades that you can then shoot at Spider-Man. It's a little more threatening. This is another example of the enemies were chosen to suit the gameplay that we wanted to have in the game. We wanted to have this whole aerial combat system in the game, so obviously having Vulture to fight, he's a perfect guy that you fight in the air. And all these moves that are happening here are, it's up to the player to keep themselves aloft, keep them in the air. You can actually use Vulture as a swing point. If you use the new web strike system, you want to draw yourself into Vulture so you can attack him and fight him in the air. And that's really all, it's all up to the player. If you actually miss any of those connections or you don't web him, then you're going to fall to the ground. This is a fun part where you beat Vulture up a little bit, and he's a little more afraid of you, so he stays way out there in space and sends his minions in to attack you. But if you use the web strike system, you can actually use them as stepping stones to make it all the way out to Vulture, out there in midair, and beat the crap out of him. And again, this is a good vantage point to see the city. It's been completely rebuilt over past games, and we've added a whole new level of destructibility to it. So now you can pick up items in the environment and throw them at enemies. If you're actually using the black suit and throwing cars around, that's going to create all sorts of havoc and break things. So during the game, the plot of the game is that the symbiotes invade New York City. Starts off kind of everything is is nice and fine in the city, and then sort of people start to act strangely. Occasional, reports of strange creatures appearing in the city, which finally grows into a full-blown invasion of New York. Shield comes in, declares martial law, and evacuates people from the city. And then, they're trying to rescue the civilians remaining. And pretty much when you're in the city at this point, all you're going to encounter are a city full of enemies. Again, that was kind of something that was a design goal from the beginning of the game. It's like, boy, we've got this big open city, and wouldn't it be great if you had to fight everybody you see? So that was kind of the idea behind having these sims infect the entire city of New York, which just allows you to have these huge battles in the street, full of tons of enemies. As you can see, Shield is also in the city here, trying to help you fight the enemies. If you go uptown, you'll see Kingpin's men trying to fight the Sims as well. He wants to stop the invasion for his own selfish purposes. And again, this was how the game design and the story all fit together. It was just what can we do to make a city full of enemies that can fly and that can crawl on walls and that can kind of really go toe to toe with Spider-Man. In previous games, there've been a lot of thugs that just weren't quite as were no match for Spider-Man's abilities. So you wound up being able to do just fine by punching them. Whereas here now you've got more of the enemies. You're really going to have to use your acrobatic abilities and your webs. Approach each encounter more strategically, depending on the makeup of the enemies that you're encountering. The game's based on the comics, so not the film, so it really gives you the ability to bring in the elements that we wanted to bring in. So we had the freedom to craft the story and pick the enemies and pick who's going to be in it and not be in it. So if there was something that you wanted to do, you're not forced to kind of focus on any one particular villain or anything like that. So it was pretty liberating. Really happy with how this game turned out. We think what we're presenting here is kind of the Spider-Man game that fans have been clamoring for a long time. You've got this great open city environment and this brand new combat system. You're going to be encountering all sorts of heroes and villains from the Marvel universe, and just watching this whole kind of invasion take place and New York City starting to decay over time. We think it's a pretty unique experience that people can be really happy with. So Web of Shadows is available October 21st. Go check it out.